All right, so I'm gonna do a little uncut video. I want to go over some questions that I get a lot. Um, Example, this is going to be a quick run through of how like lift kits work on especially tundras or specifically tundras because that's what my company specializes in. So the questions I get asked the most is like, what's the difference between all the different brands? You know, whether it's Rough Country, Pro Comp, Ready Lift, Fabtech. There's a few companies out there, and to be honest, it all comes down to your budget and what you're using the truck for. Um, so when it comes to your budget, it's not going to. You can tap into higher level kits, but it not might not be necessary because you don't need the upgraded options and the options that the more expensive kits offer. You may not need those because you may not be off-roading your truck. So when you start to off-road your truck, and keep in mind, I'm talking about the 6 inches and to 8 inch kits. So when you start off-roading your truck, you're gonna want to upgrade your suspension. You know, like your shocks. Most importantly, maybe leaf springs and things like that. But honestly, you shouldn't be off-roading a 6 to 8 inch bracket kit anyways. So you have to keep that in mind. Yes, you can. Yes, I do it. Yes, I've done it. Yeah, a lot of people have done it. But bracket kits are not really, they don't have the extended travel or the mid travel or, the that could take the beating, especially because your cross member is being removed. So that's another thing I wanted to go over is what cross member kits do. So, um, as your truck sits, right, you have your front differential, right, and you have CV axles, and these CV axles are what connect to the front wheels to allow the front wheels to get power. So what happens is when you lift the truck, everything comes up, right? The suspension comes up, and these are your CV axles now. So when you lift this truck up, your CV axle angles are like this, which is your differential straight, but the CVs are like this. So you're causing a lot of friction and a lot of bad angles. Not necessarily bad, just it's not flat anymore. Where I mean, would you wrap? It's kind of how I don't even know how engineering works. I guess when something is rotating, you want it to be in a straight line, right? But when you turn the angle and it's rotating like this, then you're putting a lot of pressure on that angle on that joint. So when it comes to lift kits, Rough Country is known to take the differential and just lower it a little bit, and then your CV axles are still angled but not as bad. So when you do a Rough Country kit, it just comes down a little bit and your angles are better, but they're not perfect. They're not perfectly flat, and that's usually what you want. So Rough Country's biggest thing is ground clearance. So when you bring that front differential down, like most kits, to where it's your CV axle angles are flat, you're in between your two tires. That differential is coming down like this. So in between your two tires, your ground clearance is less in the middle, in between the front tires. So because that differential came down, and so now, especially if you're going through mud, now the rut is like this, right? And your two tires have to go over that through, and so what happens is Rough Countries, because their differential is not brought down as far, you have the room to get over those ruts or over those obstacles. So when it comes to other companies like ReadyLift, their angles are a lot better because the differential's coming down more. But what's happening is that obstacle that you need to go over now, you're not gonna be able to clear it as good. And we're talking inches. We're not talking a huge difference, but you just have to keep that in mind. And that's one of Rough Country's biggest things. And that's why people are like, their angles are so bad. And it's like, Yeah, but you're getting that ground clearance, and they're not terrible. And I've run a rough country lift kit. I think I'm on almost 5 years. I've had my rough country kit. I've buried it in mud. I've put it in a pond. I've drove through the beach. You name it, I've been there, and it has literally held up. I have never broke anything. Knock on wood. But I've never broke anything, and I've taken it to off-road parks. You can see it on my videos on YouTube, but just keep that in mind when you're choosing a lift kit. So now, when it comes to a starting level of lift kit, most lift kits are going to come with a spacer in the front, and a spacer is not bad, but it's taking that shock and it's extending that stock shock, and with the spacer, and it's going to just ride a little bit more rough, but it's not going to be terrible. The higher you go, the worse the ride quality gets. It doesn't matter what suspension you're running, but the only things that can help with that are coilovers in the front. To it's a shock that's valved for off-roading and for abuse and for a kit of that height, so it has the right amount of travel. It has everything you need. With that said, you can do a rough country kit, and you can do the upgraded option. They have a lifted strut option, which is kind of a basic strut. It's going to ride slightly better than a spacer, but it's still a strut. It's still, it's valved to be that ride height, but it's not going to ride as nice as a coilover. It's not going to perform like a coilover. Coilovers are way better. They're valved. They got more fluid. You can get them with reservoir. You can get them with adjusters. You can get them with different spring rates, and they're adjustable. You don't have to remove them from the truck to adjust most of them. 90% of them, you can leave them on the truck and adjust them on the truck. So when it comes to rough country, ProComp, ReadyLift, Fabtech, they all have a spacer version. That's level 1. So level 1 is a spacer version of a lift kit, and then you go to like a level 2, which would be like or the next level up, I guess, would be a coilover option. So which gets rid of the spacer in the front, and it'll, like I said, it'll ride a lot better. But someone who's not off-roading their truck, and someone who is just on pavement most of the time, you may not need a coilover, but it will ride a lot better than a spacer on and off-road. So keep that in mind. So Rough Country has a Vertex system for their kits, so you can do, and they just started offering this maybe 2 years ago, and it's an awesome kit. It's what I'm running on my truck, and it's a Vertex front and rear with resi with adjusters. That right there, that's like $3,000+ in just shocks with any other brand, Icon, King, you name it. So ProComp has their own version of shocks, but it's an upgraded option, which is they have the ProComp Coilovers, which is a good step up, but they've been known to have leaking issues. ProComp has been known to have shock issues, period. Doesn't matter if you buy a regular rear shock or a coilover or a strut. Doesn't matter. They've been known to have issues, so I'm not real big on selling the ProComps with the shocks. But ProComp kits, most kits, you can buy a King or an Icon coilover or a rear shock, and that fits bolt in into those suspension kits. So keep that in mind if you do a ProComp kit. I recommend getting Kings. ProComp has its own. So like I said, level 1 spacer. Next level up would be the coilover, ProComp coilover. ReadyLift has a option too. ReadyLift has a Bilstein 8125 front coilover with reservoir with adjuster for like $1,500 more. So keep that in mind when you're choosing ReadyLift, and then you can do the upgraded rear shock, which is the Bilstein 5125 rear shock. So Rough Country, ProComp, ReadyLift. Now Fabtech has their own Dirt Logic system, which is Fabtech, I think, is very underrated. Not a lot of people run it, but they make great kits, especially their 4-inch kit. So they use the Dirt Logic system, which is a very high quality coilover and rear shock option. So I would recommend looking into that one as well. So let me get a drink real quick. And so those are the different options. All have different price points. Rough Country probably being the best bang for your buck as far as being not necessarily the cheapest, but better options for the price. And then Fabtech probably being the most expensive, but better options. So keep that in mind. You could go to my website and you can see them all on camera around here. So you can see I was looking at the Rough Country kit here. You could go to the 6 to 8 inch kits on my website, and here's another option if you're two-wheel drive. You could do the Max Track kits. So this is the regular kit for two-wheel drive trucks. It's a spindle lift, and then you go the next step up with upgraded rear shocks, and then the next step up, which is the upgraded front coilovers and shocks. So that's the biggest thing, and this is the Rough Country kits. This is for 07 to 15. I'm not sure why there is a difference in this kit, but or in the years, because it's the same truck since 07 to 2021. And then this is the Vertex Kit with the V2 rear shocks, which is an upgraded rear shock, Vertex front. And then you get into the Vertex, which is like the full Vertex system, 2016 to 2021. It's the full system. So and these prices, I have the best pricing online. For the best pricing or any questions, you can message me on my Facebook page, Apex Off-Road Facebook page, or you can email me, Anthony at apexoff-road.com. So yeah, like I said, I got them all. Here's the Pro Comp kit, Stage 2, which is the upgraded front coilovers, and then regular rear shocks. Like I said, their shocks are just haven't been known to not have issues. So keep that in mind. Take that with a grain of salt. Ready Lift kit there with no rear shocks. This is the Ready Lift kit with no rear shocks, and then this is the Ready Lift kit with rear shocks, both 6 inches. And this here, I think this is the +6 for, so you have a TRD Pro. There's a TRD Pro option for you right there, so keep that in mind. Ready Lift makes kits for the TRD Pros. And then you get into the Fabtech kits. This is their Dirt Logic system. This is their top of the line, built to take a beating, and as you can see, the price jumps way up. Like I said, feel free to reach out. You can check out my website, apexoffroad.com, and check out all the things I offer for all vehicles. And I hope I answered any of your questions. If you have any more questions, please put them down in the comments below, because this is just a quick video and just a quick, a quick run through. But there's a lot more things you get into, and shackles and leaf springs and differential drops. It keeps going and it keeps going. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.